Hi, my name is Katie, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance of masks in the field, specifically protective face masks on the softball field, and reasons why wearing a protective mask in the infield is so important. Why wearing masks is so important on the softball field. Wearing protective masks is extremely important for a softball player. It helps increase their safety dramatically while on the field and helps decrease the number of head injuries received on the field while playing. Now, there are a lot of players who already recognize the importance of wearing a mask, but there are still some who choose not to wear masks for various reasons, whether it be cosmetic, they don't like the way they look while wearing it, they may think it's uncomfortable, or they think that it can impact their performance, such as impacting their vision while they're playing. However, I think that a rule should be implemented into the softball rules for high school ball and up that requires players in the infield to wear a mask while playing. Masks have saved many players from broken noses, busted lips, or even concussions from being hit by the ball for the most part, but also if you were possibly hit by another player or another object, say maybe a loose bat. Now I'm going to be talking about statistics on head injuries that were provided in a study. Now, the author of this is John S. Strickland. He created an academic article that he published on February 14th, 2019 in the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine. This was a study of head and facial injuries that were caused in softball from the years 2013 to 2017. Now, during this study, there were 3,324 injuries treated, and out of those injuries, 22% of them were closed head injuries, 18.7% were contusions, 17.7% were concussions, 17.1% were lacerations, and 15.1% were fractures. Now, most of these injuries happened from being struck by the ball at 74.3%. The next most were obtained by being hit by another player at 8.3%. The next most were being hit by hitting the ground and a fixed object at 5%, and the last bit was being struck by a bat at 2.8%. Now, out of the injuries caused by a ball, 83.7% were obtained through a defensive play. For example, this would be someone being struck by a hit or thrown ball, and 12.3% were obtained through an offensive play, for example, a batter being hit by a pitch or a runner being struck by the ball. Now, this rule is important for the infield rather than the outfield or in whole field, because the infield is the place where the ball is moving the fastest and the players have the least amount of time to react. Now, for the average exit speed for high school players, which is the speed of the ball after it's been hit, is around 60 miles per hour. For college, the exit speed is between 65 and 73 miles per hour on average. Now, the average time a shortstop has to react to a ball hit their way is 0.61 seconds, so a small mistake can be disastrous, and the shortstop is the most hit to position in the infield. Now, the shortstop has a slightly faster reaction time than second base, or needs a slightly faster reaction time than second, because second base is hit to less often and there's typically less power behind it. However, the players who play third and first need faster reaction times than the shortstop, because the balls that are hit to those positions can be hit even harder than they are to shortstop. This is because the balls that are hit in those directions can be pulled, which means that the batter swung too early, but it put more power on the ball. And finally, the pitcher needs the fastest reaction time of all, because they are the closest to the plate in the batter, and they have much less time to react because of that. Now, this rule could dramatically decrease the amount of head injuries that are seen on the softball field. Now, this picture is showing a softball player attempting to field the ball. However, something has happened, whether it took a bad hop, as the title implies, or she made a mistake while fielding it, but the ball is not where it should be in her glove. It is instead hitting her face mask. If she was not wearing this mask, it would have most likely hit her in her chin or her lip and caused an injury. Now, my goals and objectives for this presentation are to thoroughly explain the benefits of why wearing a mask in the infield is so important and why this rule should be implemented for the age range that I specified, which is high school aged and above. So, head injuries and concussions can be an issue for players of all ages, but the goal of this would be to decrease the number of injuries, specifically head injuries. Now, head injuries can be very serious, such as a serious concussion that takes you out for a while, or a fracture, or it can be just an inconvenience, maybe a bruise, a black eye, something that doesn't take you out for very long. However, from personal experience, I have seen somebody sent to the hospital with a fractured skull after being hit in the face with a ball hot off of the bat. So, like I said, the objective would be to decrease the amount of head injuries seen while playing this game of softball, particularly injuries that can be prevented by wearing a mask. Now, in order for this rule to be implemented, it would need to be brought to the NCAA and given reason as to why it should be added to the official rulebook. Then the NCAA will need to decide that it is a necessary addition to the rules for the safety and health of their players. This is a picture of a girl after she was hit by the ball. As you can see, she has a big welt on her forehead, and in the second half of the picture, she is shown icing it. And if she had been wearing a mask, that injury could have been prevented, or at the very least, made less severe. Now, in order to qualify for this rule, like I said before, it would be high school level softball and above. Now, the reason I specify that is because players below this range, the ball is not typically hit or thrown hard enough to cause significant damage. However, I still think it is a good idea for you to wear a mask because anything is possible, whether it be a bad hop or an unusually strong hit or throw, but it shouldn't be mandatory. So this would include high school players, college players in all divisions, and club players in that age range. Club players are girls who aren't playing specifically for their school, they're playing outside of a school. And so that age range would be 14U, which stands for 14 and under and up, and adult fast pitch and slow pitch leagues. Now, this rule would not apply to outfielders because they don't need the same reaction time as the infielders. They're farther away, and the ball will have slowed down enough by the time it gets to them so that it wouldn't pose as much as a threat. They also don't get ground balls nearly as often, so they don't have as big of a need as for the mask. And catchers are also exempt from this rule because they are already required to wear a different kind of mask due to the nature of their position behind the plate. Now, this is a picture of the age divisions for the different softball teams. So as you can see, there's 8U, 10U, 12U, etc. So the picture is showing you what age you are and what team division you would be placed in. So 14U and up would be, or 14U and under would be ages 7 to 14, and then 16U, 18U would be required to wear the mask. So the only real cost of this new rule would be, for the first part, printing new rule books for those who want a physical copy of their rules in their hand. However, that can be lessened due to electronic copies of the rules. And a second cost would be the cost of players needing to buy masks if they are playing in the infield. Now, the cost of masks can vary depending on material and brand, but typically they cost between $40 and $60. Now, there are 5 players who play in the infield at a time, and multiple players can play a single position. So I would estimate about 7 different players on a team would need a mask. So that would be about $280 to $420 before taxes. Now, you could share masks to lessen that cost, but that's unsanitary unless you use your own chin and forehead pads. But they're kind of difficult to switch out, even if the mask has ones that can be replaced. Some masks don't. Now, that is possible, and if that is a road you want to take, the chin and forehead pads are about $10 together, and you would need one girl with the original mask that already has its own pads, and then one girl with her own pads. Now, this is a picture of some different examples of softball masks. You can see some are made out of plastic, some are made out of metal, some look like they have the removable chin strap or chin pad, and some of them don't. Now, the benefits of implementing this rule that it would be mandatory for infielders to wear face masks, it would decrease the number of head injuries seen among softball players. Now, we want to strive for our players to be as safe as possible, and enforcing this rule would help to do that. If this rule were to go into effect, it would keep them safe, decrease head injuries, and cause the players to perform better on the field. It would also help the longevity of the players, as players who obtain head injuries are out for most, if not all, of their seasons. Like I said, we want to strive to make things safer, but we don't want to sacrifice the things that make the game great. And this rule straddles that line perfectly, and it is a step in the right direction. Thank you so much. That is the end of this presentation.